Welcome to today's Explainer. We are diving into a truly radical and, honestly, super passionate critique of modern infrastructure. Today, we're exploring the ideas of Akash Ashok Shimapur, a thinker who is presenting a totally fascinating vision for the future of human habitation. His arguments completely challenge the very foundation of how we build our societies today. He's basically urging us to look backward at ancient wisdom so we can construct a much more sustainable tomorrow. It's a really compelling look at the literal structures we build our lives around, and I am so excited to unpack this blueprint with you.
Are we building for humanity or for profit? That is the massive, central philosophical question driving all of our source material today. Akash argues that the core purpose of our modern architecture has fundamentally shifted. Instead of building structures that elevate and actually sustain human life, we're constructing systems designed to extract wealth and benefit political or personal interests. He's really challenging us to ask whether our current trajectory is serving civilization or if, we've just lost the plot entirely.
Here's the blueprint for how we're breaking this down today. First, the lost ancient wisdom. Second, our modern architectural crisis. Third, radical materials and energy. And finally, building humanity's future.
All right, let's jump right into Section 1, the lost ancient wisdom, rethinking antiquity.
There's this really common assumption that older tech is just inherently worse than our modern methods. But Akash completely flips that on its head by pointing to some incredible historical benchmarks. For instance, he talks about ancient Indian kingdoms utilizing principles like Vastu Shastra and Shilpa Shastra to create highly sustainable infrastructure tens of thousands of years ago. He notes how ancient Greek architecture is remarkably still standing today, and when it comes to prehistoric marvels like Stonehenge, well, he points out a pretty funny modern bias. People look at it, and rather than recognizing it as brilliant, enduring human technology, they literally go, oh, must have been aliens. The overarching argument here is that humanity used to know how to build things perfectly and sustainably, but we're currently destroying that legacy instead of learning from it.
So we hit this massive point of friction in the source material. On one side, we have ancient architecture. Akash describes this as being built perfectly, deeply connected to the earth, and literally designed to endure. But then on the flip side, we have modern architecture. The source argues that despite us using cement, steel blocks, and columns, our current methods are actually incredibly fragile. They're easily destroyed by natural crises, and they are vastly more expensive. We've essentially traded lasting, earth-connected sustainability for really costly temporary structures.
Which brings us right into Section 2, our modern architectural crisis, division and sprawl.
One of his most fundamental claims is that modern architecture actively divides society. The way we build today automatically categorizes people into totally distinct economic classes. It fragments populations into slums, normal houses, big houses, and extravagant mansions or palaces. And look, he acknowledges that building mansions is fine in and of itself. The real problem is that the lower end of this spectrum is completely neglected. Architecture, in his view, has essentially become a tool for segregation based on wealth, rather than a unifying infrastructure for a healthy society.
And all of that division leads to an absolute cascade of infrastructural failures. Akash points out that despite all our supposed modern advancements, our current systems are failing at the bare basics. We lack proper housing, proper sewage, and efficient drainage systems. And what does that do? It directly results in severe traffic blockages and vastly increased risks of urban flooding. Plus, this unchecked, poorly planned expansion comes at a massive environmental cost. He specifically brings up the tragic extinction of bird species, like sparrows, as a direct consequence of our reckless technological sprawl. We've built massive communication networks and phones, sure, but at the cost of the living ecosystems right around us.
The source uses this incredibly powerful metaphor for our sprawl. He says, we are spreading like a virus. We are not spreading vertically, we are spreading horizontally. By constantly expanding outward, we are actively destroying the planet, just eating up forests and habitats. To solve this, he suggests we absolutely have to rethink our spatial footprint. If we want to reach new heights as a civilization, we need to start building vertically. We have to take our infrastructure into the air and preserve the earth below us, instead of just continuing to spread across the surface like a virus.
Zero. Absolutely zero. According to the text, that is the amount of true human development achieved in our current economic cycle. Akash expresses this really deep frustration with a system where citizens literally, as he puts it, burn their blood for wages, bonuses, and incentives. And what is the grand reward for all that? They use that hard-earned money to purchase property only to get trapped in an endless, lifelong cycle of paying installments. The source argues that this isn't development at all, it's a trap. A system where architecture only exists to extract lifetime labor from everyday people offers absolutely zero true advancement for humanity.
Okay, let's pivot to the solutions in Section 3, Radical Materials and Energy, Engineering a Sustainable Shift.
Akash proposes totally flipping the script on pollution by turning industrial waste into actual building materials. Step 1 involves actively capturing the massive amounts of carbon dioxide currently being spewed out by the industrial sector. Step 2 is processing that captured CO2 to create solid carbon sheets. And finally, Step 3 uses those carbon sheets to literally construct the walls of our houses. In Akash's vision, this creates a highly durable protective layer for infrastructure that simultaneously cleans our atmosphere. It's a completely radical reimagining of how we source our construction materials.
He tackles the global plastic crisis in the exact same way. Akash questions why we just allow mountains of discarded plastic garbage to accumulate when it could be actively collected and transformed. He argues for creating recyclable, sustainable plastic sheets that could be used to build much more resilient societies. Now, he does acknowledge the potential challenges here, like, obviously, the fact that plastic housing could trap heat and humidity, making it super uncomfortable. But his broader point is about the urgent need to innovate. We have to find ways to repurpose our massive waste streams into the very literal building blocks of our future infrastructure.
And it doesn't stop at just the walls. Akash envisions an infrastructure where energy generation is baked directly into the design from day one. He suggests swapping out standard architectural glass panels for solar panels to capture and store household energy locally. He strongly advocates for using groundwater and dams to provide free electricity to citizens, totally removing the profit motive from basic human needs. He also points to harnessing biogas from waste. But here's where it gets really wild. He suggests utilizing geothermal energy to incubate entirely new forms of technology. The source claims these new geothermal technologies might actually challenge our current understanding of modern physics, pushing the boundaries of what we consider scientifically possible just to unlock ultimate sustainability.
Let's pull all these threads together in our final section, Building Humanity's Future, the Earthian Project.
So what does this actually look like in practice? To tie all these technological ideas together, the source introduces a broader philosophical blueprint called Project Earthian. Akash defines this as an ideology where humanity acts as a single, unified entity on this planet. Under Project Earthian, a dedicated group of people would focus solely on developing infrastructure that serves human sustainability. The crucial differentiator here, the complete and total removal of the profit motive. It's all about building for the sake of survival and advancement and flat out refusing to manipulate the Earth's resources just to look out for a monetary return.
The stakes here are astronomically high. This explainer text makes an incredibly bold prediction. If we can manage to stop being stagnant, and if we can shift our collective focus away from just making money to prioritize collaborative, sustainable development, humanity possesses the potential to achieve a massive evolutionary leap. Akash states that we have the potential knowledge and capability to break through to a Type 1 or even a Type 2 civilization within the next 50 years. It's a beautifully optimistic view of our capabilities, which contrasts so sharply against our current realities.
It all really boils down to this one, single, powerful mandate from Akash. The architecture has to be for humanity, not from humanity. Our built environment has to empower us. It must provide for us. It absolutely should not be a mechanism that extracts our wealth, our labor, and our blood just to maintain basic shelter. The infrastructure of the future must serve the people unconditionally.
As we wrap up today's explainer, we are left standing at a massive crossroads, with a final thought derived directly from the source material. Will we remain stagnant, clinging to a destructive, horizontally sprawling, profit-driven model that divides us and harms our planet? Or will we fundamentally rethink the blueprint of human habitation, harness our waste, look to ancient wisdom, and build the true foundation for our next era? The choice of what we build next is entirely up to us.